now, joined by Anthony Slater of The Athletic. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. I missed you last time you hopped on. I was down there in Scottsdale for some golf and spring training. Thank you for hopping back on with us, my guy.
I'm having a rough morning. I have Mississippi State in my I had them beating North Carolina. I'm going to the Sweet 16. What am I doing?
I don't know. I don't know what you were doing. I think we were all high high on Mississippi State because they did well.
It might be the first thing.
Yeah, I was like, I think you had it right first.
Because they did well in the SEC tournament. I hear you, man. My bigger teams haven't really gone off, and I know Oklahoma. Both of us are in the same situation because Oklahoma State and Temple. I don't think either of us are doing very much. We're not even in it.
Yeah, Oklahoma State fired their coach, so you know how things are going. How about this one? Long Beach State's about to play. They fired their coach and then went on and won their conference tournament. So he's like a fired coach, but he's coaching in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I was tempted to take them, but I did not. I got scared.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Not against Arizona.
No. We are talking with Anthony Slater of The Athletic. Anthony, let's start here. Your initial. You had a great piece in The Athletic with Malik Monk, who is really the hottest topic out here. Once the season ends, Chris and I are going to have plenty of content to talk about Malik Monk. What was your main takeaway from your conversation with him?
I like talking to him. That was probably the main one.
Yeah.
He's, I would say every team has two or three guys that are like really good personality guys. And for us, particularly what I do, try to sit down with players and stuff like that. Those are the interviews you try to search out. So, largest takeaway, I have a good sense of what he's actually thinking because he really tells you what he's actually thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what did you think? Like, were you surprised, I guess, by his openness in saying pretty much flat out, like, I would like to start. I don't really enjoy coming off the bench. Were you surprised by that?
Maybe a little bit, but it was a point. It was probably like midway through like a 15, 20-minute conversation.
Right.
We were talking about the various points of his career, which included, Charlotte, where he, as he mentions, felt he never really got proper opportunity there, and like he only started one game in like 4 seasons there, even though he was a lottery pick. Mm-hmm. He felt a little bit mishandled, misused. And I think part of that, at times in his career, he's believed that his talent should lead him to bigger roles. And it got to the point where it was like, we're talking about the how good it would be, how nice it would be for him to win Sixth Man of the Year award, but we're also talking about in some ways, it tells you, it kind of like keeps you in this ladder of the league that at 26 years old, ascending the way he seems to be ascending. You might not necessarily want that award. Right. And I was like, so do you like coming off the bench? And he just kind of laughed like, man, he said, hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no, I don't. But it wasn't in a way of like, I'm demanding this right. must change. It was like, look, we're winning. It's going well. The other point he made to me was like, still getting 30 something minutes on some nights, like it's starters minutes most of the time. It's just kind of scripted in a way that he's not a starter. But, again, I get it, especially with what he's doing on the court.
Talking to Anthony Slater of The Athletic and breaking down his great article on Malik Monk. Anthony, he talked about the success that he was hoping to get in the postseason, and that would also play a part in his decision at the end of the season when he becomes a free agent. What do you think that line of – we spent some time yesterday trying to figure out what that line of success would be, and it's probably a combination of things. If they lose in the first round, but he's now a starter, something like that. But I guess what is worst-case scenario, or what Malik might feel is a quote-unquote good playoff run?
Well, I mean, I think worst-case scenario for the Kings is they don't make it out of the play-in.
Right. Yeah.
Which is, that's on the table for, you could go look at the 4 teams currently in the play-in and add, whatever Phoenix, really 5 teams if you include the 6th seed. 2 of those teams will not make the playoffs. 2 of those teams will be extremely disappointed heading into the offseason. And if that's the case, like you will, I mean, I know what you guys are going to be talking on the airwaves the day after if they lost in the play-in.
Yeah.
Like, what do they need to do this summer? Have they plateaued? Where is this going? What type of changes need to be made? Just because that's just the natural sports thing to do. So if that happens, I think there's going to be a lot of disappointed people in that locker room, and I'm sure Malik Monk's going to be one of one of them. Other than that, I think it's like just the tangible, like let's say they do make the first round, and if they get to the second round, like typically it's how the series that you get eliminated ends, right? You know, did you take Denver to a tough sixth game and lose at the buzzer where you're like, man, this team next year, you know, Keegan Murray looked great. Malik Monk, you know, really looks, you know, does he have a good series? A lot of times, you know, people look at, you know, how did I personally play? That's the sour taste in their mouth heading into the offseason is dependent on, you know, how they look. Think about Harrison Barnes last year. I thought Harrison Barnes had a really good season last year. He played all 82 games, was productive, but he kind of got phased out of that Warrior series. And you entered the offseason wondering about his future with the Kings because he was basically, you know, shaved from the rotation almost in that Warrior series. So just how does it end for Malik, but how does it end for the Kings? Like, do you feel like they've plateaued, or do you feel like they're on the ascent still?
Anthony, I'm curious, just in general, your general vibe after talking to Malik. Like, do you feel how do you feel about the Kings' chances of getting him back? I mean, they're, you know, he's obviously already there now. He's going to grow some emotions with, you know, connectivity to the team, but there are some teams out there this offseason that are going to have some money. He can go start in San Antonio. Orlando's been a team that's been rumored to have interest. There's also good teams out there like Philadelphia that are going to have some cap space money.
Detroit's the name too.
Detroit, absolutely. Yeah. How do you feel about the Kings' chances of keeping Malik?
Pretty good. You know, I think he likes it. I mean, like, there's no question he likes it.
Yeah.
That's not just, you know, like political talk from him. He friendly with Fox. That's why he came here. I think his relationship with Mike Brown is healthy. I think he likes having a coach that gets after him, but also like lets Malik get back after him and you know, kind of brings the competitive juice out of him. So when you are happy with generally how the coach deploys you, but also let you be yourself, happy with the organization. The other thing is, I think he likes the slow down nature of Sacramento. You know, having played in Los Angeles, he mentioned it. I mean, he's like a really rabid golfer.
Yeah.
He's picked that up over the last couple of years, and I talked to him a little bit about that. I only kind of, you know, subtly mentioned it in the story, but it's kind of a big thing. I think like it calms him down. I think just like playing out here, living out here. I used to cover the Thunder back in the day for a while, and you would talk to a lot of those young players, the Durants, the Westbrooks, the Ibakas at the time, about how the slow nature of Oklahoma City allowed them to really focus on the craft, get in the gym on off days. Like, they didn't mind going in the gym because they didn't feel like they were missing some, you know, big events or big nights out. And I just think Malik has really enjoyed that from a professional perspective, because it's not like you don't travel the country or, you know, can live in LA or wherever in the off season. So I do think he really likes the setup here. The bigger question is the money, right? I mean, you know, $17 million is the starting salary next year. Would a team take him well over 20? I think if a team just say, hey, 20, I don't know that the difference between 20 and 17 is that substantial. But if we start talking about the difference between 25 and 17 starting salary, and especially because teams know this, right? Teams are often much more willing to chase a guy down if it's like, oh, is he actually obtainable? And this situation, because of the CBA limitations, makes him potentially obtainable. But at the same time, taking a step back, 4 years, $77 million is like the kind of the offer, the long-term offer that the Kings can put on the table for him. That seems reasonable, right?
Yeah.
For Malik Monk. That's big, good money for a guy who's never got paid before. So unless somebody goes way over the top, I do think he wants to be here. And 4 for 77, we're not talking about like 4 for 28 is the largest offer they can give him.
Talking to Anthony Slater of The Athletic and his piece on Malik Monk. Anthony, based on your opinion, do you think that Malik Monk could be a starter on a championship level team?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he could start on the Kings right now. I'm not sure it's like the wisest way to script your rotation.
Right.
But like, you do consider the Kings a championship team? Yeah, no, not necessarily. But, you know, I'm just like, theoretically, let's say he was, you know, on the Nuggets instead of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Yeah, he could start there, and I would still consider the Nuggets like a championship team. It just kind of depends on what's around him. Where, like, are you asking if he could be the second best player on a championship team? No, I don't really think that. But yeah, I mean, I think he can be like a high minutes, 25, 30 minute per guy, third, fourth option who can win you a playoff game by scoring 32, which he did for the Kings last year, right? They win game 1 because he scores 32. They win game 6. I believe he had 28 in Chase Center. Like, that was a big time playoff win. I know they didn't win a series, but for him on the road in that environment to score 28, he was great that night. That shows you what he can do on a playoff stage.
Anthony Slater, thank you so much for your time. Anthony, look, I already told the good people on the airwaves that we go way, way back. So it's my birthday. I know I haven't dropped on Instagram yet, so you haven't seen, but it's my birthday, Anthony. So I need you to tell the people what I could do before my Achilles. I need you to tell the good people that I could cook back in the day, Anthony, that lefty layup. Come on, tell the good people what you know.
Have you all watched Brandon Pajemski much with the Warriors?
Yes.
Get a little Brandon Pajemski in his game, right? So maybe get that little lefty step back when the defense ain't paying attention much. You're like, how did this guy come in and grab this rebound?
Yes.
Why did he just take a charge in an intramural game?
No, come on. I would not do that. Wow.
Could not have picked a better player.
He had a shot. It was kind of like a quick trigger shot, right? It's like that, you're like, oh, well, I didn't know he was even taking that. It's already up.
A little Sasha Vezenkov in his game.
That's right.
Okay.
I tell you what he couldn't do well: guard in the post.
All right.
I know that from firsthand experience.
Okay. Basically, no, we had a 2-on-2. It was one of my buddies and one of Anthony's buddies. And the shot wasn't falling that day. And Anthony, he got me in the post. And, he's crafty in the post. And they won the game.
All right. Is
that what you wanted, Anthony?
Well, I've retired at this point, so you should be happy that it'll never happen to you again.
There you go. Anthony Slater of The Athletic. Check out all of his work, including his outstanding piece on Malik Monk. Anthony, thank you so much. We'll see you soon, and we'll talk to you again.
All right, fellas.
When we return, breaking down what we just heard from Anthony Slater, does that make you feel better or worse about Malik's chances of staying, and also expectations for Keon and Sasha? Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.